What happens when four working-class kids from Birmingham decide to make music so dark and heavy it scares the radio, but hooks the world? This is the story of Black Sabbath, the band that invented heavy metal, survived chaos, split apart, came back together, and ended their journey in the most emotional way possible. From their first riff in 1969 to their final bow in 2025. This is their complete timeline. It all started in the gritty streets of Birmingham, England in 1968. Tony Iommi, a guitarist who'd lost the tips of two fingers in a factory accident, found a way to play again by making his own prosthetic fingertips. He teamed up with drummer Bill Ward, bassist Geezer Butler, and a singer with a wild voice and even wilder personality, John Ozzy Osbourne. At first, they played blues rock under the name Earth. But one day, Geezer noticed people paying money to watch scary movies. He said, "Why don't we make music that feels like a horror film?" They renamed themselves Black Sabbath after a 1963 horror movie, and in February 1970, they released their first album, Black Sabbath, on Friday the 13th. Critics hated it. Fans loved it. It sold like crazy. 7 months later came Paranoid, with songs like War Pigs, Iron Man, and the title track, Paranoid. It was fast, raw, and unlike anything else on the charts. By the end of 1971, they dropped Master of Reality, adding heavier guitar tuning and more sinister riffs. The world didn't know it yet, but heavy metal had just been born. In the early 70s, Sabbath was unstoppable. Volume 4, 1972, brought a bigger sound, experimental touches, and the fan favorite Snowblind. Then came Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, 1973, a masterpiece blending heavy riffs with orchestras and keyboards. Even critics started to respect them. In 1975, they dropped Sabotage, a powerful but chaotic album. Behind the scenes, the band was drowning in legal battles, management disputes, and constant touring. Still, they were one of the biggest rock bands on Earth. They had created the blueprint for metal, but the cracks were starting to show. By the time Technical Ecstasy, 1976, came out, things were changing. The sound shifted toward more rock and less metal, and not all fans were happy. The band was exhausted from non-stop touring and constant recording. Never Say Die, 1978, would be the last straw. Ozzy, struggling with his own demons, grew distant. In 1979, after missing rehearsals and clashing with the band, he was fired. For many fans, it felt like the soul of Black Sabbath was gone. When Ozzy left, many thought Sabbath was finished. But in stepped Ronnie James Dio, former Rainbow vocalist. His voice was soaring, his energy fresh. Together they made Heaven and Hell, 1980. A comeback so good it still ranked among the greatest metal albums of all time. Then came Mob Rules, 1981, equally heavy and epic. But after tensions with management, Dio left in 1982. Black Sabbath then entered a revolving door era. Ian Gillan, Deep Purple, sang on Born Again, 1983, a bizarre but cult favorite album. Glenn Hughes briefly fronted the band in 1986 for Seventh Star, originally meant to be a Tony Iommi solo album. Tony Martin joined for The Eternal Idol, 1987, Headless Cross, 1989, Tyre, 1990, Cross Purposes, 1994, and Forbidden, 1995. These years had bright spots, especially Headless Cross, but constant lineup changes kept them from regaining their old power. In 1997, the impossible happened. The original lineup reunited. Ozzy, Tony, Geezer, and Bill hit the stage together at Ozfest, and the energy was electric. Fans wept. Critics cheered. In 1998, they released Reunion, a live album with 2 new songs, proving they still had it. In 2006, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Then, in 2013, they dropped 13, their first studio album with Ozzy in 35 years. It went straight to number 1. Their farewell tour, The End, ran from 2016 to 2017, closing with a final show in their hometown of Birmingham. Many thought that was truly the end. After 2017, Sabbath was silent as a band. Ozzy focused on solo work, but faced serious health struggles, including Parkinson's disease. Tony and Geezer worked on other projects. In 2022, Ozzy and Tony surprised fans by performing together at the Commonwealth Games closing ceremony, their last time on stage together for years. Rumors of one more show floated around, but nothing concrete came. Until 2025. In February 2025, the announcement came. Black Sabbath would reunite for one final show on July 5th at Villa Park, Birmingham. This wasn't just nostalgia. It was a charity event to raise money for Parkinson's research, children's hospitals, and local families in need. The lineup? Ozzy, Tony, Geezer, and Bill, the originals. The openers? Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Slayer, and Judas Priest. The buzz was unreal. When the night came, Ozzy opened with a solo set, his voice raw but passionate. Then the 4 original members took the stage. They played a short but unforgettable Sabbath set. War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man. Fans cried. Grown men hugged strangers. For the first time in decades, it felt like 1970 again. They raised £140 million in a single night. 17 days later, on July 22, 2025, the world woke up to heartbreaking news. Ozzy Osbourne had died peacefully at home, surrounded by family. The cause was a heart attack, with coronary artery disease and Parkinson's as contributing factors. Tributes poured in from around the globe. Birmingham held a massive memorial. Fans left flowers, candles, and guitars at the Black Sabbath bench. Tony Iommi said, "There will never be another like him." Black Sabbath began in a factory town, made music the radio feared, and created a sound that still shakes stadiums today. They had fights, breakups, and tragedies, but also triumphs, reunions, and moments that changed rock history. From the first heavy riff in 1969 to the last bow in 2025, their music never truly ended. Because legends don't fade. They echo forever.